Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER. We're here live at FANFAIRE NYC. I'm Michael. We have Davion Bussey, and we have a special guest trying to interview this man for a while, Keith Williams. How you doing?
Hi, good, doing good.
So I've been running into you a lot lately.
Yes.
At almost every convention.
Stalking, yes.
What is going on?
I don't know. It's the divine intervention. I have no idea.
So let's tell the people a little bit about some of the properties that you worked on as an artist.
Okay.
And what was your artistic role within those?
Well, inker, actually. Before being an inker, I was a background inker for Marvel. Worked on books like Marvel Team Up, The Avengers, for Joe Sennett. He was the inker on that book. Esposito was the inker on Marvel Tales, and I would do all the background work while he would do the figure work, superhero stuff, all that. And I slowly graduated onto becoming an inker. But it took about a year or two before I actually started inking my own stuff.
Oh wow! And is that the progression? You start as a background inker and then?
Well, that's the way
primary?
it was. That's the way it was for me. Some
Okay.
other people could probably dive right into the deep end, but I was kind of glad that I started off that way because I got to learn a lot of the technique from a lot of the inkers that I worked with.
Wow. And you started when?
I started back in '82.
And who got you into it, or was this your passion? You just wanted this?
I wanted it. It was hard to get into. I was fortunate to meet son of a penciler, Howard Perlin, who went to my old school, South Shore in Brooklyn. He invited me over to his house to meet his dad, Don, who did books for Marvel, Werewolf by Night, and a few other different books at the time. And he didn't live that far away from me, so I was able to go over, every once in a while, show him my stuff. He was particularly interested in looking at my ink work that I did, and that's what got me into Marvel. He went up there, and they needed a background guy to do something, and
you were there.
Suggested me. Yeah.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, I had a choice between being a paraprofessional at my old high school, which I was at that moment in time, or being a background inker when the background inking stuff started to really come in, and I was getting really busy. I was a paraprofessional during the day, and at night I was doing background, so I didn't get that much sleep. So when summer came around and it was time to make a decision, I decided just to become an inker, become a background inker.
So how did you get involved with Phantom? That's a huge property.
Yeah.
Say, you're going to be working on, was it a dream?
I never thought that would happen.
Okay.
I was working at Marvel at the time. I didn't think that it was possible for me to ever be on a comic strip, especially the Phantom. Danny Fingeroff got me in touch with King Features. And went up there and showed them my work, and they were interested. And they said, "Well, you got to go and talk to Lee Falk, who was the creator of the Phantom." So they gave me his address. We made up a time to meet, and I went up to his apartment that was on Central Park, off Central Park West, right next to the planetarium. As a matter of fact, you could see the planetarium from his window on the sixth floor. I think it was the sixth floor. And I showed him my stuff, and we got to talking about things like Spider-Man and stuff like that. And but after he finished looking at my stuff, he thought that I'd be the right guy to work with him on it. So.
All right. So one of the characters that I noticed that you also worked on was Kojak the Night Stalker.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the TV show.
So am I.
Oh God!
Yeah.
My favorite episode was with the dead guy that comes risen from the dead.
Oh yeah. Well, you had the pilot, which was the movie The Night Stalker, which was incredible because it was real horror. It wasn't like a guy that was like trying to get money from somebody and masquerading as a like as a ghost or a vampire or something like that. It was real.
Yeah.
And it was violent, and it was unusual for something like that to be on television at that time.
And not only that, it's like he happens to not put himself in these situations. He happened to had these situations come to him.
Yeah, he was a magnet. He was a magnet for everything. The Night Stalker, the Night Strangler, that was in Seattle, and all the other stories that he was involved. This was his thing. It was the X-Files. It was the X-Files before the X-Files.
Yes. If you're talking about the original X-Files, he was that original X-Files.
Yes.
Without the FBI and the conspiracy, he was the journalist that actually happens to be right there in the midst of it.
Yes.
And saving lives.
And saving lives, yeah. And nobody believed them.
Wow.
And the ones that did always changed the story up, right?
Right.
You know?
Like, especially the police officers. It's
Yes.
always
Yeah.
changing the story.
Yes, yes.
So I did know my history, and I know it's way back from when I was a kid, because this show came out how long ago?
Oh, my God. Was that like the early 80s or something
Early
like that?
80s, early
70s or the
late
70s, late 70s. It was Dan Curtis production, Dark Shadows
Right.
and all that stuff, which I used to watch too. But yeah, about that time.
So what got you involved with that project?
Moonstone Comics, they had the property for it, and I was doing a few other things for them, like Buckaroo Banzai and stuff like that, and they thought that I'd be a good fit for the penciler at the time that was doing the series. So yeah, I did a few issues of that.
Wow. And I was just happened to be a young thing. Well, I was born in '86. But I didn't got introduced to the show until like the mid or late 90s on Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
And I will love watching it as a kid because it would
sure.
always intrigue me.
Sure. It was amazing that I was asked to do it. Like I'm a fan too, and it's crazy to be able to draw like Darren McGavin, Carl Kozak, doing his thing in the comic books. I never thought that would happen to
And
me.
the guy that played in the show is the guy from Quantum Leap.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we've got his name. The guy that teleports. Like,
Oh,
but nobody
yes,
else can
yes,
see him
yes.
except for the teleporter.
Yes, right. He's the guy that had the little thing in his hand that
Right.
he always hit, and yeah, right.
Oh.
Dean Stockwell.
Right.
Okay, it just took a second.
Yeah. But it's all good. But these are stuff that we really admire from comic book artists like you, because it's like you actually drew something from a show and you helped build the comic book.
Yes.
You really helped build it. And that's like a big thing to me because growing up as a kid, I used to love this show. But to find out it was a comic book, I want the comic book now.
Sure, of course. Yeah, same with me. I read all the issues, even the ones that I didn't do. I love that. I love the Night Stalker character. I find it amazing and lucky that I was able to work on things that I loved when I was younger and when I was a kid. And just watching it, never thought in a million years that I would be doing things like The Phantom or Carl Kozak, Night Stalker, or Star Trek. I never thought. I mean, it's not the real person that you deal, but you're creating more of, I guess, the canon of the character's story.
So what was your favorite superhero or comic book when you was a kid or was there at the time?
Wow. I was a comic book collector, so I was like collecting a lot of different books.
But what is one that you really admire?
I guess at the time it might have been Spider-Man. It might have been Spider-Man at that time because he kind of like related to him. He was a kid. Like at least back then, and he had all the things that kids had, bullies and messing up and stuff like that. Just learning about life, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have you ever created your own comic book as a kid, or?
Yeah, I had a few characters. One of them was like Retro Fireman, which was...
No, but it's a catchy name.
Yeah, I know.
Retro Fireman.
Yeah, it was...
But you know what? But that's the stuff that comic book artists or people that had that drive or wanted to be a comic book person. Like, I'll be honest, I did my first comic book issue when I was in seventh or sixth grade. Sixth grade, called The Grim Reaper.
Oh, wow.
And he just go around, running around like, yeah, I'm going to save the world with a hook in my hat.
That's great. No, I can see the visual. I can visualize it. It looks great.
And his villain or his counterpart was a female.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. Hey,
Don't steal my idea,
you got
anybody.
your sidekick. Yeah, sidekick and everything. That's great. I like the way it's
But that was when I was young, so it was like I had to set up and
Right.
everything. But then I just lost interest afterwards because it was like, okay, I guess because it was lost story. Lost story, I lost interest.
Oh yeah, but you move on. You go
Yeah.
into the next thing, But like I had a friend, and we lived in the projects, and we'd be in the hallway of the project of our apartment building, putting together these stories and writing them and drawing them, and paper was all over the floor, and we were disturbing the neighbors next door because we were always like making sound effects and yelling and screaming about what we were gonna do, for the story, and it was fun. It was fun.
And it made you fall in love with art, pretty much.
Yes.
And it made you fall in love in the culture of geekness and nerdness because it drove you to make a product that basically showed the interest to you, but not only to you, but you inspired an audience.
Oh, well, that's nice.
It's like, sounds good. Actually, you mentioned something interesting because a lot of the media are now turning into a multimedia experience. It's no longer 2D. Now it's 3D, 4D, and whatever else they're coming in, they're creating. How does it feel to create part of the canon and then see things travel towards film and video games and
oh God, I
television?
I think it's amazing. When the Phantom came out in the movies, I thought that was absolutely incredible. I said that's exactly Billy Zane. He did it exactly the way it is in the comic strip. Like how the Phantom's emotions are happy and friendly when he's with family and friends, and deadly and dangerous, when he's going after criminals. He had that feeling. I wish there was another movie.
Wow, there are rumors. I don't know about him playing it, but there are rumors of doing another Phantom.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know, again, if it's the script is in works, like officially, but I mean, almost every property now is being thrown out of there.
Sure.
So it's kind of hard to tell what is real and what isn't. But Phantom is definitely, I can't see it not being done.
Wow, I would love for them to try it because they have tried different versions of it
Right.
and it didn't really work. I think the only one that really worked was the Billy Zane one, and maybe the serials back in the 1940s. When they did it back then. But other than that,
What's missing?
In the Phantom,
And the ones that kind of didn't hit with you.
They changed the costume. They changed the character. How they try to modernize it, and especially the Sci-Fi Channel did one that was, it just didn't work. It just didn't work, and I was really confused with why they would change it that drastically.
Right.
Instead of just putting him in the outfit, the spandex and the mask and everything. That's the Phantom.
Right.
Put him in the Skull Cave. You have his horse Hero and dog devil, wolf devil, and his kids. And make something off of that. I can deal with his family and stuff like that, which most stories are now anyway. That I've been seeing on television and movies about family and how they live together and how they fight.
Now, do you watch a lot of the superhero films?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, ever since Christopher Nolan reintroduced his take on Batman, everyone talks about, going dark. Let's make it darker. Let's make it more gritty. In many places it works. Sometimes it doesn't, in my opinion. What about your opinion on it?
Yeah, don't make Superman dark. And I felt that in the Batman versus Superman movie.
Just giving you a pound on that one.
There was no difference between the two characters. Superman was just as angst-ridden as Batman was, and I really liked the Batman that was in that movie, but he needed somebody to counterpoint him in the other direction. You know, like that to be light, airy, and sunny. That would have more than likely frustrated Batman more that he was such a like happy-go-lucky Boy Scout than this guy that. Batman comes and tries to explain to him. No, Superman is trying to explain to Batman that his mom's having problems and like gets kidnapped, and Batman didn't want to listen. And the moment Batman just like pushes him, Superman just goes all crazy, and it's like I didn't understand.
That's not Superman, yeah.
That's not Superman. Plus the fact that he's Superman.
Right.
Like they could have done something better.
Yeah. But I'll get onto a rant if you.
No. But it makes it's important. But also look at the Gardens of the Galaxy.
Oh.
That was one of the properties where the first one to take the risk. We're not going to go any darker. If anything, we're going to go lighter. And it was a huge success.
Yes.
So it proves that every film doesn't have to, quote unquote, go dark.
No.
To be successful.
No, it should
And to
go
stay
dark.
true to the character.
Right. You gotta have some kind of like feelings of humor, and again you have the darkness too. But you gotta have kind of like a balance. It can't be just all one thing. I felt. Oh, okay. I don't really enjoy it.
No, you don't have to get in trouble.
No, it's like the last X-Men movie was nothing but sadness and sorrow, and I think there was only 1 second that they had that party, and even the party that they had in there, and so you just can't have it be just one note during the whole.
It has to. The whole production doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
No.
You got a mixture.
Yeah.
Different elements.
Even if it's like an accidental funny thing, but it's got to be something
Natural.
that natural. Yeah, right. That human beings are not just all like.
And even Star Wars, if I throw it in there, one of the best movies for those natural moments.
Right.
Until they tried to make moments in the prequels.
Yeah.
They tried to make a lot of moments.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it kind of got a little sour.
They forced it. Yeah.
They forced it. But it's nice when it just happens.
Right.
With those type of films, yeah.
Exactly. It gives it a nice flow, instead of like stopping you and making you think, oh, this shouldn't be, like in this shouldn't be working this way. Or you get that weird kind of feeling, when you're watching a movie. It takes you out of the story.
Now, are there any characters that you've created that you're working on that you want to put out or are putting out currently?
Not at the moment. I'm basically doing commissioned pieces for people and bouncing around to almost different conventions right now. I do have a character that's in mind, but not ready to say anything about it yet.
But it's happening. It's in the works.
Yes. Yeah, I guess it is in the works. In my mind, it's churning around. It's churning around in there.
It's trending. I like that. Oh man. Well, I think that's interesting because there's so many young artists, as we can see here at FANFAIRE. We're at FANFAIRE NYC,
Great.
creating things.
Yes.
And it's interesting to see some of the veterans in the game, and still in the game. The ones that are focusing on their own projects and ones that, they don't even push that. They love working on the characters they grew up with. Where do you lie within that?
Yeah. Characters that I grew up with, absolutely. I love it. And I love that I was able to do it professionally also, for a while there. Like I said, I am thinking of creating, my own character, but to do the stuff that I grew up with, it's still a dream. It's still a dream come true. It's still exciting. It's still fun. I'm still a kid. I'm not.
That's awesome.
I'm still a kid.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
There you go. I can sing the whole song. No.
Yo, we'll do that with that one.
Oh my God.
So what conventions in the next couple months can people come and check you out and get some commissions?
Oh wow. Gonna be at Brooklyn Con. Let's see. Possibly the Baltimore Con. Jeez. Of course, New York Con, that's later on in the year. Terrificon, Incredicon. I got a few.
There's one called a Credicon?
Incredicon.
Incredicon.
Yes. So I'm going to be doing that also. And there's a bunch more. I have to really look at my calendar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it's amazing. Over the last couple of years, there's so many cons now.
Yeah.
Is that great for your business, or is it a lot of pressure?
I would say it's great. It's great for the business right now, because it gets me to get out of my cave and come out and meet people, do networking and also just like talking to the fans. Fans are cool, and get to talk to them for a while and, sell some artwork and stuff and just let people know I'm still alive.
Wow.
Which is good, yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be talking to a ghost.
Sometimes, some people did think I died. So, you're not around for a while. Yeah, I'm alive. It's like if you're away for a certain amount of time, just don't know.
And is the business like that? That side of the business where they're calling you every week to do stuff, and all of a sudden the calls stop? Or
sometimes, yeah. Sometimes that's how it works. Yeah. Felt like that. Yeah, around back in the early 2000s, it had that kind of feeling. There was a lot of changes, upheavals, in the companies and stuff, and a lot of editors were changing hands, and so they would bring in their own people, which is understandable, So, but yeah, it did happen sort of like that. Kind of got quiet there for a little while, and. I had to decide what my next move was going to be.
Now there was maybe about I don't know the exact time, but I know it definitely was somewhere in the 2000s where there was a rush of number ones. Like everybody was, as far as distributors, they would just be putting out number ones. Let's just make up another comic book with Spider-Man. Let's just make up another one with Batman, just so we can put out a number one and people can run and buy it.
Yeah.
But then they overflood the market with new comic books and new number ones.
Right. Yes, that's true. I don't know. I guess it helps for the bottom line, but it doesn't help. I think for the fans, to just it's forcing them to have to buy, a book, and then thinking that a lot of them would think that it's going to become valuable, after a certain amount of time. And I don't think a lot of those books did. It was really flooding the market. I see them now jumping back to the original numbers of certain books now. So, right? So you had Action 1000, instead of being Action number one. I really think it hurts, more than helps the business.
So it was pretty much defeating the purpose of being number one in that early stages.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you had a number one already. You had Action Comics, or you had Batman number one. You had those books, and I think you should celebrate the fact that these books have been around for a long period of time. So, if it's getting into the 500, sort of. Just do a good story.
Because what Superman would be 100 in 10 years, right? Because that started in the 1930s, correct?
That's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's right. They celebrated their 90th birthday just a little while back. So yeah.
So
it's getting close to 100. Yes. I think you should celebrate that. I think you should write good stories, and if you write good stories, you won't have to worry about. Saying, oh, we should start it up again, make it look like it's fresh.
Because almost every cartoon had a comic book at some point, around that same era of everybody wanted the number ones.
Right.
But they kind of disappeared. So ironically, even though they weren't successful, and I was just talking to a gentleman that sells comic books on location. If anyone wants to go to FANFAIRE, you need to go right now. You could get some really great deals. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those comic books that failed are actually the ones that are probably worth something because nobody was looking for them.
They're rare. They're rare. There's probably a small amount of copies that they printed. And, like if they're out there and somebody has one, who knows?
Are you a Star Wars fan?
Yes, I am.
Did you know there was an Ewok comic book?
No, I did not.
There's a Smurfs comic book.
I did not.
There's an Alf comic book.
I didn't know there was an Alf comic.
So,
No. Wait. No, I do remember Alf. I think that was actually for Marvel. That actually came out for Marvel for a while. Yeah. Sid Jacobson.
So all those are the ones that you gotta kind of, if you're into
Those are the
Word,
ones.
those are the ones.
You should be holding on to those things for dear life, because they're the ones that'll probably be
Right.
be the ones, the next $1,000 comic book or $1 million comic book.
Because now when I go in the store and I see Wolverine and I see Spider-Man, there's so many different timelines and comic, like
Yeah.
it does take away from the magic of the original one, I think.
Right. Like, yeah, it's almost like you should say, yeah, there should be just a Wolverine comic. There should be an X-Men comic. There should be, instead of all the X-Men comics that they had and because they flood the market. And I think it also kind of dilutes the story. I think that, if you had a small amount, then you would have more stories if you had a. But I understand, you want to, put it out there since it's a product that's really making money. You want to, put it out a lot more frequently. But at the same time, like I said, it feels like it's diluting the characters.
So how can someone follow you? You got social media or website? What do you got?
Yeah, it was kicked and dragged into that. But yeah, I'm on Instagram at Keith Williams Comic Book Art. That's my handle there. And also on Facebook, and I swear to you, I do not know what the look up Keith Williams, and and
You'll find me.
You'll find me.
And,
yeah.
and he's saying with true humility. He's not like Google me. No.
No, I
This is
tell you.
You're great, really nice guy. Off camera, really nice guy. Davion, what's your social media?
Social media name, Davion Bussey on all platforms. You can find me. It's easy. DAYVEONE, Bussey, BUSSEY.
Again, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you guys.
All right, and I'm Michael7 Michael on Instagram. You're watching GeekCaster. Just go to GeekCaster on Instagram. You could also go there on Facebook. Check us out. Thank you so much for supporting. We're here live at FANFAIRE. Enjoy, come down, and if you can't make it this year, definitely come next year. It just keeps growing and getting better, and it's a great cause.